Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you had a wonderful weekend. We got some, and thank you very much for being in on a day that many advisors take off. So the fact that you're in here actually making yourself and your skills a little bit better, that's awesome. Thank you. So always be looking at those 5-minute money makers that we send to you. Last week's was here's an article from Kipling that makes a fabulous case for FIAs versus money management. So I'm sure you'd want to take a look at that. And then the 5Q tape breakdown, don't ever ask a question you don't know the answer to. But if you do, here's how to fix it. So we show you that, hey, we all flub up a little bit in these meetings, but it's really easy to fix it. So this is a great a lesson on how to do that. So before we go on to the content of the call today, I wanted to have you listen to an advisor who's one of the hardest working guys on the system. And he actually did something that I don't feel my skills are good enough to even attempt, and he actually ended up doing it. There's one kind of person that I never take through the 5Q process. Anybody know what kind of person? When they come into my office and I find out that this kind of person, I basically help them as quickly as I can and get them out of my office. What kind of person is that? Oh, I love engineers. Half my clients were engineers. Nick's got it. Tom's got half of it. So Nick, good job. Nick's got it. A single do-it-yourselfer. A single do-it-yourselfer. But just, Jerry said, engineers, guys, the year I made $1 million, my clients, 95% of my clients were IBM engineers, teachers, and nurses. So I love engineers. Why do engineers love this system, guys? Why do engineers love this system? Yeah, you got it, Bonnie. Mail to yourselfer. It's systematic. That's right. And do engineers like it when you tell them what to think? Or are they going to dissect everything? They dissect everything. The beauty of this system is they build it themselves. That's why they love it. They build it themselves. That's why engineers love it. That's why analyticals love it. But you know what? Is it just analyticals love it? No, everybody loves it because everybody likes to be what? What does everybody like to be? In charge and right. Yep, exactly. In charge and right. Good. So Tom actually took a single do-it-yourselfer, an analytical, to put icing on the cake, an analytical single do-it-yourselfer, and he converted them. So Tom, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, he was somebody who'd come to me through one of our marketing programs at Robo Advisor, and he came through the process like everybody else, sat down, we did our fact finding and started the process from there. And it was very apparent right out of the gate what type of individual I was looking at speaking with over time. He was that super analytical single do-it-yourselfer with some additional icing on the cake. He had a grown son with no prospects for grandchildren or anything like that. So I had a couple of extra fun things thrown in there as well with this guy.
Awesome. So how did he react to the whole process then? When you did the 21-point checklist, how did he go from being a do-it-yourselfer to somebody who wanted your help?
It was, and I don't know if this sounds right or whatever, but it was the process. I mean, he was. When I walked through the disclosure meeting with him and did what I was supposed to do, did what we've learned, did what we've studied, did all of the process the way it was supposed to be done, he went right along with everything. He was exactly what you just said, Mike. He was the analytical. He wanted to immerse himself in the process and be right. He wanted to build what was going on and see what was happening throughout the process of the breakdown during the whole disclosure conversation with him. And it went just about as smoothly as it could go with that piece of it. Now, I will say, and this is kind of a public service announcement, I did a lot of prep work with Jeff on this case, and I do almost every single one of my disclosures. Even though they might seem the same or very similar, I'll still take the time to do it with Jeff, the prep work. And there were a few nuances that he walked me through and a few things that he kind of had me just tweak a little bit. We didn't leave anything out. We didn't do any changes. It was just a few tweaks, especially with the fact that he was also interviewing 3 other guys at the same time. So I wanted to make sure I went into this disclosure just beyond prepared for it. And it went exactly as it should, any typical disclosure, and went exactly as Jeff and I had prepared it to go. And it was a smooth transition to the implementation meeting from there.
Well, I just got to pat you on the back because that's a guy. I mean, I close 100% of people. I can close 100% of people that are couples who have advisors. I probably close 90% of do-it-yourself couples that are do-it-yourselfers. But I don't have. I say I probably do 50-50 at best on a single do-it-yourselfer, and I walk away. So kudos to you for doing something that I actually would walk away from, and you nailed it. So way to go, Tom. So guys, here's Tom's a great example of what hard work does. Because like I said, he's the hardest working. He's a bright guy, but being bright wasn't making him successful. It was the hard work he puts into his business and the seriousness with which he takes his business that has made him as successful as he is. And he has converted client after client after client from Wiser Advisor with this system, and he's a machine now. So, Tom, thank you very much for sharing that with everybody.
Always my pleasure. And finish off with, if you don't mind, a quick additional public service announcement. Guys, I owe a lot of all of this, obviously, to Mike and Jeff and the whole process. But the MIFT and these 5Q breakdowns and these things keep me sharp and keep me from going off course, especially if there's any kind of lag time between disclosure appointments or implementation appointments. And I really owe it to the entire system, not just being able to do the disclosure. So, I appreciate that sentiment, Mike, but I do owe it to the process and everything that you've helped us work on and build.
Well, thanks again, Tom, and thanks for your hard work. And again, you impressed the heck out of me because you did something that I don't have enough confidence to even try. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
So thanks again. So we'll hop in. So who knows what Rule 4512 is? Just kicked in. What's Rule 4512? Well, then I am happy to be covering this with you. This just kicked in February here. So this is a funny meme. Take those photos off my Facebook right now. People can use them to get into my bank account. So that's a little hint on what Rule 4512 is about. What's Rule 4512 about? You are now required to, with FINRA, you're required to get from your clients the list of a couple of contacts that you can contact if you feel your client is losing their marbles. So you're all aware of that. So it's now required that when you, with your client, if you work under the auspices of FINRA, you're required to get the names from your clients of a couple of people that you can contact if you think that your clients are not making good decisions because of mental degradation. So were you all aware of that? Apparently not. Are you all aware of it now? Can I get some yays? Okay, so here's the thing. You guys weren't aware of it. What could we make? What kind of a guess could we make or assumption can we make? I know we're not supposed to make assumptions, but what kind of assumption could we make? If you guys didn't know about it, guess what? Other advisors haven't either. So how can we leverage that? Well, here's how I would leverage it. I would leverage it at the medical power of attorney, the durable power of attorney for healthcare decisions. I'd say, so when your advisor contacted you about Rule 4512 here in the last month, who did you decide to use? Well, he didn't contact me. He didn't contact you. Oh, well, I'll make a note. Yeah, this is a law that came into a regulation that came into play here this month, and he's supposed to have contacted you. Well, you know what? What I'll do is I'll take care of it for you then. Oh, that's surprising. Okay, I'll take care of that for you. Let me make a note here that we're going to circle back when we're done and talk about Rule 4512. Yeah, this can really affect you in a negative manner if we don't take care of it. I'm a little surprised, but we'll take care of it for you, no problem. So that's how I would handle it to make who look like an idiot. Make who look like they're not doing their job. Make who look like they're not following the regulations that are out there. Their guy. So guys, pay attention to this. This is just one more little thing. And how long did that take me to do that? About 30 seconds. So one more little lever or crowbar that we can use to get their guy, them thinking that their guy isn't doing their job. And again, did you hear how I said that? Hey, when your guy contacted here about FINRA 4512, FINRA regulation 4512 this year, how did you decide to do that, or who did you use for that? Well, he didn't contact us. He didn't oh, that's surprising. Yeah, we're going to want to make sure we take care of that. Yeah, that could cause you some major league problems if we don't get that taken care of. Here, I'll put a little note here, and we'll circle back and get that taken care of for you. When they say 4512, say it's a rule. So Andre's asking. So they say, what is Rule 4512? They say, well, Rule 4512 is now a regulation about how you fill out your account form and the people that are to know or not know about your current situation. So it comes down to basically privacy and who's to know about your situation. So is privacy important to you? What are they going to say to that? Yeah, so Bonnie's saying it's now a question on the brokerage app to contact regarding health status. So here's the thing. Is this something we can use forever, or something we can probably use for the next year, or use for people who, here's the nice thing. With new clients, they're going to all have this. But with their current clients, guess what? How many guys are going back to get this information from their current clients? Heck, how many times do guys want to contact their clients just for do client reviews? So does this work well for us? So as Bonnie points out, for new clients, it's going to be part of your application process. But for new clients, that's great, because we're not trying to get a new client. We're trying to get a client that that's new on the scene, that's just been born. We're trying to get a client from another advisor. And what do you think the likelihood other advisors have done this with their clients between here and didn't happen? Make sense? So just a little thing to another little lever that you can use. So here's the thing. I want you to this seems kind of an odd thing, but the analogy I use for us and our prospects is this. How many different ways are there to ask if I'm a guy, how many different ways are there to ask a girl out? A gazillion. And if she says no the first time, am I allowed to ask her again? Yes or no? Yes. So if she says no, if I ask her in person, she says no. And then I could ask her, text her, or at first I text her and she says no. Then I ask her in person, she says no. I call her on the phone, she says no. I ask a friend to ask her and she says no. I think of other ways to do it and she says no. Can I continue to ask her? I mean, eventually I'm going to stop, but can I ask her more than one time? Yes. But here's the thing. Once I've had a bad date, when is there going to be another date? If I've had a bad date, when's there going to be another date? Never. So I use this analogy for this. So many guys are so worried about marketing, so worried about getting in front of more people, And again, there are more people that know the 21-point checklist than have ever known it in the 18 years we've been around. So that is awesome. I'm talking more to the guys that are newer in the system. And I find it's just everybody when they're new in the system. No, the 21's great. The 21's great, but I got to get in front of people. The 21's great, but I got to get in front of more people. Guys, I wish you could talk to the veterans like Tom, who would tell you, don't worry about marketing until you've nailed the 21-point checklist. Because guess what? Of asking a girl out or being on the date, which one is analogous to the marketing? Asking a girl out or the actual date? Which one's analogous to the marketing? The asking out. See, I can continue to ask them out. But if I go ahead and have that date, If I go ahead and have that 21-point checklist meeting, if I go ahead and have that one-on-one meeting and I follow that up, guess what? When are we going to have another meeting? Never. So I'm way less worried about asking people out than I am about making sure that when I get them in front of me, that I close the deal. Does that make sense to you guys? So Abraham Lincoln said, if I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe. So are we ever good enough? Do you think I feel I'm good enough at the 21-point checklist? Do you think after doing this for 20 years myself, do you think I feel I'm good enough at the 21-point checklist? I got 3, 4 yeses. No, I don't. Guess what I do every single day? The 15-minute drill. Why do I do it? Do you think anybody on the call is better than me at getting on somebody's side and doing the 20-point checklist? No. And yet, what do I do? Every single day, the 15-minute drill. Why? Because if you're not working, if you're not working on your skills, what is Tom Brady? If you like him or not like him, what is Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers? What do they do? What do they do on the off season? What do they do during the season? They're constantly doing what? Sharpening their axe. And that's make sure you're. And again, you guys have, like I said, more guys know the 21-point checklist than ever before. And I just you make my heart grow large by doing that. And now make sure you start to own it so that you don't only get it right, but you know it so well you can't get it wrong. Make sense? Okay, so the main topic for today is robots, Robo Advisors. So where are we with Robo Advisors? Well, one of the things we found out here in the last 2 or 3 weeks that these big, mean Robo Advisors are not quite as mean as we thought they were. And what I mean by that is Fidelity reports web issues after Robo Advisor sites crashed during the downturn that we had here in the last couple of weeks. Fidelity Investments had intermittent technology issues with its website day after Robo Advisor struggled in the market rout. Fidelity customers faced some difficulties accessing firm's homepage on Tuesday. By early afternoon, the issues were resolved, but the websites of 2 of the country's biggest robo-advisors, Wealthfront and Betterment, crashed on Monday as the S&P 500 index sank. Complaints quickly spread across Reddit and other internet sites from people who had trouble logging on their accounts. Really? After you'd received a message from Wealthfront saying the site was down. The glitches of the robo-advisors represent a setback for the niche of the financial market industry has been booming as people have been becoming more and more comfortable making investment decisions. Vanguard Group and Charles Schwab reported outages Monday and said they didn't reoccur today. So, guys, if you have all of your entire life savings in one of these things and the market falls and you can't get access to your money, guess what you start to think? What do you start to think? Yeah, not good is right. Not good is right. Because here's the thing. When everything's going great, does anybody worry about anything? I don't care if it's your car or your furnace or your vacation. Does anybody worry about any of those things if things are going well? No. But when things get screwed up, all of a sudden you're like, holy crap. You know, if your furnace is going great and that company's gone out of business, you wouldn't even know it until it broke down. And then you call up and say, hey, I need help with my furnace. And you get then what? You know, that's a problem, right? Because with Robo Advisors, you know what everybody knows an oxymoron is. Big baby, open secret, passive aggressive, original copy. Those are all examples of oxymorons. You know what another oxymoron is? Online service. Online service is a oxymoron for anybody who's tried to get any type of help online. And when you're doing Robo Advisors, how are you getting service? Can you drive down to their office? Can you look them in the eye? Can they hide from you? Yes, they can hide from you. So here's the problem, though. For thinking, are robos dead, or what are they going to do with this failure? Are robos dead? No, because what are they going to do with this failure? Yeah, they're going to learn from that failure. They're going to improve and make sure that does not happen again. So I've got some good news for you and some bad news for you. The good news is this. All the research has shown that the richer people are, the more likely they are to work with robos, or the less likely. The less likely. But what's happening to that definition of richer? Is that going up or is it going down? the amount of money that people are comfortable working with Robo Advisors with. It's going up. Now here's the bad news, and this is really bad. The times they are a-changing. So when I was at Best Buy, I was a store manager at Best Buy, and I love Best Buy. I was their number one TV salesperson in 1986, and I loved it. I loved selling TVs. It was one of my favorite jobs ever. And because I did so well, they put me into management. I love being a manager there. I left. I left Best Buy when they made a huge change. What change did they make that you think that I left? I said, this is going to sink Best Buy. This is going to be horrible for Best Buy. You got it, Kevin. No commission. When they took away commission sales, I said, I'm out of here. Because if all you're going to do is have a bunch of clerks making $10 an hour, how much are they going to know about TVs? How much are they going to know about stereos? How much are they going to know about these things? They're not going to know anything. So was I right or wrong? Guess what Best Buy did after I left? What did Best Buy do after I left? In 1986, what was the difference between Best Buy in 1986 and today? Is it bigger or smaller? More successful or less successful? Immensely more successful. Immensely, it's huge. Best Buy is huge compared to 1986. There was only something like 56 stores in 1986. How many stores are there today? Most cities have 2, 3 stores. So guess what? People didn't want to be sold things on commission. They wanted to go there and be helped by a clerk. They didn't want a non-commission. So Best Buy, until they crushed Circuit City, went out of business. I mean, everybody went out of business. Best Buy took over everything. Now Amazon in the last 10 years has started to compete with them, but up to about 10 years ago, there was only Best Buy when it came to consumer electronics, and it was. So I thought commissions were the way what people wanted, because that encouraged people to have more knowledge. If my income is based on commissions, I'm going to have more knowledge. And guess what I found out people wanted? Salespeople with more knowledge or cheaper stuff? What do they want? Salespeople with more knowledge or cheaper stuff? They wanted cheaper stuff. So here's what the Consumer Report said here in the last couple of years about Robo Advisors. Given the financial industry's legacy of low transparency, expense, conflicts of interest, this has been a long time coming. So guess what Consumer Reports thinks about Robo Advisors? Good or bad? They think they're good. Now this is the really scary thing. This is just from this month in investment news. This is especially, so this is a clip out of the article. This is especially important in an era of low-cost digital advice. Last week, Vanguard Group CEO Tim Buckley told advisors that more than half of their job is susceptible to automation, and their fees are likely to decline. Mr. Duran said this should make it clear that Vanguard is coming after wealth management industry with low-cost digital advice the same way it once disrupted asset managers with index funds. Guys, what did Vanguard do to money managers? How much money has been, over the last decade, every single year, where have people been moving their money? Into money managers or into index? What's happened to Vanguard's, the amount of money under management at Vanguard? It's ballooned. It's exploded. ETFs is the same thing. So they basically, everybody understands what a disruptor is, right? They disrupted that industry, and we should be a little bit afraid or a lot afraid now that they're going after the robo-advisor. They've now discovered with Betterment and Wealthfront have done the experimentation, have proven it's a viable process or business process. So guess what now Vanguard is doing? Saying, aha, business model. Thank you, Frank. So they're saying, aha, guess what? Thank you, Vanguard, or thank you, Betterment. Thank you, Wealthfront. We'll take over from here, and they're going to put their full back into this and make sure that they do it right. And they're coming after that business. More, indexes are bad enough. Now they're going to go after robo advice. Vanguard argued the active management isn't worth the fees it charges. This time, the belief, the one that Mr. Duran said is core to the direct-to-retail robo-advisor like Vanguard, Betterment, and Personal Capital, is the traditional advisors aren't worth the 1% fees. Does Vanguard have the moolah to have an unbelievable campaign, whether it be on speakers on shows, public relations, getting into magazines and everything else. We should know that they're coming after us. Does that make sense? Now, here's what we have to pay attention to. But he said that robo advisors are operating under a faulty assumption of their own, that advice is all about money. And that all investors are average and that human advisors are too expensive. Mr. Rand said understanding these assumptions is key for the industry to fight back and defeat the threat technology poses to advisors. Money is only fuel. If all you do is talk about money and retirement and how the clients are going to get there, you're going to miss the biggest opportunity to beat these tools. Guys, what have I been preaching forever and ever and ever? What is when Jeff writes our newsletters? Says, Jeff, what is our newsletters about? Money? Our newsletters about money? No. The first 45 minutes of the 21-point checklist meeting, is it about money? No. So he says, to remain successful, advisors need to know clients' lives better than anyone else in the financial industry. After doing a 21-point checklist, do we know that clients' life better than anybody in the industry? By a little or a lot? By a lot. Clients don't want to be a number on a spreadsheet, but they want to be treated as unique and told that they are making when they make a mistake. Just about money or in general? In general. So guys, Vanguard has just endorsed the 5Q process. So for all those other advisors out there who are still talking about money and only about money, are they going to go out of business tomorrow? No, they're going to die a death of what? Does anybody know that cliche? Die a death of what? 1,000 cuts, Kevin, right. They're going to die a death of 1,000 cuts. Are you going to die after the first cut? No. Second cut? No. But by the time you've had 1,000 cuts, guess what? Slowly and painfully, Frank, right. Right, Nick. So, are you guys doing the right thing with the 5Q process? Are you doing the right thing with the 21-point checklist? You absolutely are. See, money management, if all you do is live by the money, those that live by the sword is going to die by the sword. It's not just about the money. See, the management fee is only a fraction of our management fee is about the money. See, here's a surfer, and there's two sharks here. Do our clients know all the dangers that are circling them before they do a 21-point checklist? Do they even have a clue? Or are they going about their merry way having a blast windsurfing? What do we call this? Windsurfing, I guess it is. They have no clue what the dangers are. The 21-point checklist has them realize that. Does that make sense? So after you do a 21-point checklist, are they worried about your client, about your fee anymore when you do it right? And when somebody says, geez, you charge a 1% fee, first of all, how much of their money will be being charged a 1% fee? With our system, how much of their money? Half of it. So now what's their fee gone down to? 50 basis points. And then when we point out the 50 basis points, is all of that 50 basis points just for money management, or is it for us to take care of them, their financial affairs for them in totality? So only 20% of that is about taking care of the money. The other 80% is taking care of them, their financial affairs in totality. So that means if only 20% of the 0.5 is about the fees, then what is their actual fee? What's 20% of 0.5? 0.1. You know what that's cheaper than, guys? Guess what that's cheaper than? Vanguard, Robo, any other Robo out there. So the 21-point checklist allows you to manage people's assets, even with a 1% override, cheaper than what the Robo Advisors are doing. So make sure that how well should you be versed on this whole method of thinking? Extremely well versed, because you need to be pointing this out to people as we go forward. Make sense? So, of all the advisors out there, you're not going to die of a death of 1,000 cuts. Everybody else is. You Guess what you're positioned to do? You're actually the shark. You're going to be in a feeding frenzy off of everybody else's clients. Now, this whole thing about fees, could it be used for, get people away from other advisors? Yeah, it absolutely can. And we'll talk about that as time goes on. So then the last thing, so any questions on that? The last thing I want to talk about is the different biases. I don't think we can ever understand client biases enough, okay? Because if we understand their biases, you ever scratch your head? If you do the 21-point checklist right, you close everybody. Again, except do-it-yourselfers, except your Tom, then you can close single do-it-yourselfers. but when you're scratching your head, sometimes say, geez, anybody with half a brain would think this is what they're doing is wrong and what I'm recommending is right. Why are they not moving? It comes down to biases. You need to understand biases because you can actually use that as a leverage as well. So one of the biases is follow the herd. So it says, follow the herd too closely and you'll end up in a heap of sheep. Well, here's one of the, I love, y'all know I love Warren Buffett. So one of the Warren Buffett's quotes is, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. Easier said than done, yes. Easier said than done, yes. But we have to police ourselves because what do our clients want to do when the market's going up, 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 up? We showed that last week. January, we set a record for what? People pulling money out of the market or putting money into the market? They're putting in record amounts in January. Right before the market what? Had a mini correction. And by the way, are we done with the correction or are we now? Thank goodness we got that correction out of our system. Now we can go on and we're just right back into the bull market, right? Remember all those little graphs that Jeff showed last week? When we looked at those little snippets of graphs, did we know whether the market was going up or down with those snippets? Or didn't have a clue? Yeah. When do we know the market's done correcting? Years later, right, Frank? Years later. Not even months later, years later. Because you know what? You can go down. If you look at the 29 stock market crash, if you look at the 2007, 2008 stock market crash, it did not go down in 1 week or 1 month. It went down over months. And we had these fake outs where the market started to recover before it went down even worse. And then it recovered before it went down even worse. So we don't know till not months after, but years after that we're finally done with the bear market. So our job, part of that thing that we're going to pay to 0.5% on is to do what? Make sure our clients are not being, are more likely to be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. If we don't know how to do this, how did we solve this with 5Q? Because this is a hard thing to beat. Can we agree? Be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. Is this a hard thing to do? Can we agree that's a very hard thing to do? So what do? Knowing that that's a hard thing to do, that's right, Dale. We go 50-50. If we go 50-50, do we need to worry about this or is it being done for us automatically? It's being done for us automatically. Another bias is cognitive bias, anchoring. And here's what they're talking about with anchoring. Everybody wants to get in when the market's going up. So, a client will tell you that I want to get in this stock because you know what? It's gone up from $50 to $100. In just 1 year, it's gone up from $50 to $100. And they want to get into Facebook now when it's PE is what? They want to get into do they want to get in when the stock has been clobbered, or do they want to get in when the stock has been flying high for the last year? They want to get in when it's flying high. So the point, the other thing is that they'll do is, or another thing that they'll say is, oh my gosh, this stock is down 40%. This stock is down 40%. I should buy it because it's cheap. Is that true? If a stock is down 40%, does that mean the stock is cheap? Good answer. You're all saying no. No. It does not mean it's cheap. It could mean that it's cheap, and it could mean that it's down for a reason. So it does not necessarily mean that it's cheap. It's certainly something that you should take into consideration, but we have to see why is it cheap? Is it still making profit? All that kind of stuff. So that's anchoring. And do people make do people make decisions based on just what a stock price has done without any other information? They don't know anything else except what this, like for Tesla. Everybody loves Tesla. because they love Elon Musk, and I love Elon Musk as much as anybody does. I love the guy. But they make a decision based on, I want to invest in Elon Musk, so I'm going to buy Tesla. Dudes, that's anchoring. They've anchored to Elon Musk. Are there some very bright guys that have been around some stocks that have gotten killed and companies that have gotten killed? All the time. So what are they paying us that 0.1% money management fee when it comes to their money to avoid these biases? The other one is confirmation bias. And guys, we are as guilty of this as anybody. We have to be just as careful as everybody else on this. So confirmation bias is this: what facts say and what confirms our beliefs. So we undervalue the facts and we overvalue what confirms our beliefs. Really, we should be, we overvalue the facts that confirm our beliefs right here. We don't look at all the facts. We only look at the facts that confirm our beliefs. And we got to look at all the facts. One of the Emerson University looked at or did an experiment where with Abu Ghraib prison, back in the early 2000s when we had put the terrorists in Abu Ghraib prison, and there was torturing going on there. So they put two groups, Group A and Group B, and they said, and they gave Group A overwhelming proof, with video proof, testimonial proof, third-party proof that there was torture going on. And then they gave the other group, Group B, overwhelming proof, video, testimonials, third-party proof that there was not torture going on. So one had given stacks and stacks of proof that there was torture going on. Group B, stacks and stacks of proof that torture was not going on. Then, Group A then should be saying what? Group A should be saying there's torture going on. And Group B should be saying that overwhelmingly that torture is not going on. But what they did is they then mixed all those people together and they asked them two questions. What's your view on Amnesty International? And what's your view on the military? And within a 92% ratio, people who believed in the military said that there was or was not torture going on, do you think? Didn't matter whether they're in Group A, Group B. Yeah, they said not. And the people who loved Amnesty International, guess what they said? Was there torture going on? Yes. So did the proof, oodles and oodles of proof, have any effect on those people and their beliefs? None. No effect whatsoever. They just poo-pooed all that proof. And then the last thing that we have to deal with a lot is change. It says, I want you to find a bold and innovative way to do everything exactly the same way it's been done for 25 years. And what they found is that as we get older, we should all know this from our grandpa or our older uncle at the Thanksgiving dinner, and what they actually comes out of their mouth. Are older people minds easily changed, or they are set for good? Yeah, I agree, Andre. They're set in their ways. They're set in their ways. So, what's the prescription for all these biases? Motivational interviewing. Here's the rule for motivational interviewing. Resist telling them what to do. Avoid telling, selling, preaching, and teaching is what I say. Motivational interviewing says avoid telling, directing, or convincing your friend about the right path to good health. So we don't tell, sell, preach, or teach. Number two, understand their motivation. Seek to understand their values, needs, abilities, potential barriers. What are we doing when we get on somebody's side? When they say something we don't like, what do? Tell them why they're what? Right. That's understanding. Listen with empathy. Should we be worried about what we're saying, or should we be more worried about what they're saying? GOTS. Everything about GOTS is about us paying more attention to them. If you look at your GOTS and your 15-minute drills, it's all about getting them to talk more, talk more, talk more. What we want them to talk is talk and talk and talk. Because what they're doing while they're talking is what? They're convincing themselves. They're thinking out loud. You will never get the objection, I need to think about it, when you use motivational interviewing, because what have they been doing the whole conversation? Thinking out loud. And this should ring a bell. Empower them. Empower them, empower them. Tell them they're above average. So our prescription to all those biases is motivational interviewing. Now, you could become an expert on motivational interviewing, or you could just do our scripts. So what I would recommend, which way do you think is faster, becoming an expert in motivational interviewing or just learning our scripts? Yeah, just learn the scripts. And then if you're interested, you can always go back and learn more about motivational interviewing. But once you're making the money you want, guess what? Your desire to go back and learn the theory of motivational interviewing. But this is the theory. Do you get the theory? And those of you that have done the 21-point checklist, have you seen it in action? Does this work? We heard it worked with Tom, but how about the rest of you? Does it work? One yes? Two yeses? Come on, guys. 3, 4, 5. Good. Everybody's saying yes. So when you've mastered the crib notes and the motivation scripts using motivational interviewing, when you've done your daily practice of the myths and the GOTS, the 15-minute drills, is there any excuse for not doing a 15-minute drill? There is no excuse. Nothing's going to happen to your practice. Nothing's going to happen to your income but make it go up if you, the first 15 minutes, you don't answer your emails, don't answer your phones, don't talk to your assistants, don't read a paper, don't peruse the internet, but instead turn all that crap off and do your 15-minute drill. Get your mind right for the day. Get your mind right for the day. The 5-minute moneymaker and tape breakdowns, that doesn't take you but 5-10 minutes twice a week. And you're always going to be learning a tidbit to make you better at what you do. When you're doing all those things, that's when you're going to bring in every single client you want. That's when you create an ATM, okay? So thanks again for being on the call on a day that your competitors are just relaxing watching The Bachelor and Bachelorette on TV. And instead, you're in here making your practice and your skills better. So I appreciate that. You guys all have a great rest of the day, and we'll talk to you all on Monday. Thanks, guys.